Hello, everyone. If you've been following Fox News, you have no clue. But for people in the real world, Ukraine has just taken back Kupiansk and Izium, two victories that basically assure that Ukraine has just taken back the entire Kharkiv region in northern Ukraine. This all happened while Russia was hyper focused on the Kherson counteroffensive, which Russia is still in the process of losing horribly. But I'm not a mill blog channel, and I'm not going to go into great depth on those points. For now, I just want to address one important fact that this is doing, especially for my conservative friends who follow Steven Crowder, because I'm going to be addressing one of the comments he said right at the beginning of the war several months ago. And look, I like Steven Crowder a great deal, although I do think Dave Landau is funnier, but I like Crowder. We agree on 99% of everything on political issues. But when it comes to Ukraine, Crowder is just flat out wrong, okay? Because when the war first started, I remember him saying something along the lines of how he didn't care at all about Ukraine. Why? Because Ukraine used to be controlled by Russia, and we did just fine when Russia was controlling that entire region. I don't think Crowder is old enough to really understand what the 80s were like when the USSR was seen as extremely strong. Regardless, despite that position on Ukraine, Crowder has been very adamant that we in America need to support Taiwan against China. And that's a bit confusing to me because, by the same logic that Crowder used, Taiwan used to be controlled by China, and we were just fine that whole time too. But whatever, I want to assure Steven Crowder and his fans right here and right now of one very, very important fact. Supporting Ukraine is supporting Taiwan. You remember when Pelosi went over to Taiwan and China got their panties in a twist and began to do their war exercises to threaten Taiwan? You notice that nothing ever came of that? Why is that? Well, part of it is because Biden has publicly stated several times by accident, and the White House has had to correct him several times, but he's accidentally stated the truth that America will support Taiwan should China invade. And again, this was against the White House's explicit commands for their robot meat puppet known as Biden. But regardless, the reality is everybody knows, China especially knows, that if they invade Taiwan, they will have to deal with the U.S. military. Now, all they have to do right now is simply look at what Ukraine has been doing with our hand-me-down weapons from the 1980s against the so-called second best army in the world, which isn't even the second best army in Ukraine. And they can see this is what's happening with that old equipment that the U.S. is giving to an untrained new Ukrainian army. What do they think is going to happen when we use our modern day weapons when they attack Taiwan? Even if we don't send our own troops, we're going to be sending Taiwan better equipment than what we've been sending Ukraine. And if the Ukrainians are accomplishing this with our hand-me-down weapon stock from the 80s and the late 90s at the best, what else are we going to do if China invades Taiwan? So yes, Steven Crowder specifically, as myopic as your vision has been when it comes to the Ukraine conflict, I hope that this opens your eyes enough to realize that today, the only reason Taiwan still exists is because of what Ukraine has done against Russia. Because the whole plan was Russia would invade Ukraine and get the world distracted with Ukraine, and then China could take Taiwan. And that was going to be their goal. Now, they were just going to do a 1-2 punch and seize everything that they wanted because the U.S. was too weak to intervene. That was what they believed in February. That is why Putin took the risk of doing what he did. In short, Ukraine today isn't just defending all of Europe against the Russian fascists. They're at the same time literally protecting Taiwan from Chinese aggression. So conservatives, if you want to support Taiwan, support Ukraine. And with that, Slava Ukraini.